Basketball is a make-or-miss sport. We've all heard that cliche. As much as you can analyze the coaching strategies and the adjustments, a lot of times it just comes down to whether the ball goes in or not. And data can help back that up. In all of D1 basketball this season, the team that commits fewer turnovers in the game has won 63% of the time. Same thing for the team that draws more fouls. 63%. The team that rebounds a higher percentage of missed shots wins 65% of the time. But those three all pale in comparison to shooting. The team who shoots it better wins at an 83% rate, a make or miss league. But there are always exceptions. And last year's Houston Cougars team was one of the best examples. These are the 5 worst shooting teams to still finish the season in the KenPom Top 15. In other words, bad shooting teams that were still very good overall. How does that happen? Well, just watch this Houston practice film and see for yourself. It looks like how a basketball practice would probably be portrayed in a Hollywood movie. Diving on the floor, hustling for loose balls, kind of physically hurting each other. All 5 of the teams on this list have something very important in common: offensive rebounding. Last year, Houston was 249th in shooting, but 2nd in offensive rebounding. Their first shot didn't normally go in, but they generated second and third chance opportunities by relentlessly attacking the glass. This season, Houston has improved their shooting. They're still not exactly the Golden State Warriors out there, and the offense can get isolation heavy. But Quentin Grimes has emerged into the go-to guy and Conference Player of the Year in the AAC. And most importantly, they've improved that shooting while not sacrificing what made them good in the first place.
We manufacture our points. There's certain things that we're not good at, but we try to stay away from the areas we're not good at. We try to focus on the things we are good at, which is why you have a strategy, plan, a culture, things you work on, your identity, what you're known for. We understand who we are, and we work every day to be good at that.
In this video, I'll explain that system that Kelvin Sampson is referring to. We've already talked about the offensive rebounding, but Houston is equally tough on the defensive end, with a very physical and aggressive scheme. More coming on that, on the statistics behind three-point defense in general, an offensive adjustment made by Memphis that gave Houston a lot of trouble, and at the very end, I'll show you my 2 favorite Houston sequences of the season. Before that, please remember to like and subscribe. I have another video coming out on Sunday night right after the bracket is released. And honestly, if this ringing endorsement can't get you to pull the trigger on the subscribe button, I don't know what will. The X's and O's strategy Kelvin Sampson has become most known for is the post double. When the ball goes into the post, Houston is coming to trap, even when it gets dribbled into the post. As soon as Justin Gorham sees the ball going towards the paint, he has discretion to trap. On this play, Cincinnati catches way beyond the three-point line. Not only does that create a longer entry pass, more time for Houston to bring that trap, it also leads to a more inaccurate pass. The weak side corner is open, but that's a very difficult skip pass to make from that angle. Here's a great example of Houston's disruption. Right now, it looks like Memphis has an angle. There's a mismatch in the post with the guard on a big, and the weak side help isn't in position yet. On the flight of the pass, Houston switches. Now the mismatch is gone. But then they bring the double team as well. The Cougars go from this to this in a matter of seconds. The traps usually aren't permanent, so if the offensive player is patient enough to wait it out, Houston will just recover back to even. That patience is great in theory for the offense, but very hard to execute. Houston only allows 1.3 shots per game out of the post, 4th lowest in the entire country. And when an opponent does get a shot off, they're shooting just 41%. The post traps are statistically effective. Now obviously the downside of doubling the post is that skip past 3. The opportunity is there if the offense can execute. And I'm not exactly breaking any news here by pointing that out. The Houston coaching staff is well aware.
We may give up some contested threes. We've got to be willing to live with that. But what we are not going to give up are paint touches in one-on-one isolation paint drives in the name of taking away the three-point. We want to protect our paint at all costs. That's a big part of our defense, and we feel like we're going to win a lot. We're going to win a lot more possessions than we're going to lose if the other team is consistently shooting contested threes.
In a day and age where defenses are very focused on taking away the three, Kellen Sampson's comments might be a little bit surprising. On top of that, it's also true that studies have shown that the defense has limited control over whether threes go in or not. The logic then, according to some of those studies, is to just take away the attempt from ever happening in the first place. Don't rely on your three-point percentage defense, rely on three-point volume instead. But there are notable exceptions to that rule. Syracuse's defense, for example, has held opponents to a below-average three-point percentage in 22 of the last 25 seasons. Virginia has done it for 9 straight seasons, although that streak might actually come to an end this year. And Houston is in a similar boat. They're 8th in the country in three-point percentage defense this year, 8th last season as well, and number 1 the year before that. 2 of the main reasons for their success: the ability to move on the flight of the pass and their length and athleticism.
Again, all we're looking for is a slower pass to the corner. We feel like if we can slow down some passes, we can run underneath we can run underneath the passing and be in a position to either stop the shot or make it a really, really difficult shot.
With a team full of long and athletic wings, Houston anticipates those long skip passes, getting in the area of the shooter before the catch. And then all their length kicks in even more after the catch. You'll see guys flying around and blocking shots that sometimes even seem to be pretty open initially. It's all resulted in a defense that doesn't get hurt by the three nearly as much as you'd think. Now, the area that really is in fact the big weakness for Houston's aggressive defense is fouling. And, well, first of all, what did you really expect from a team that practices like this? Of course, Kelvin Sampson is going to be willing to live with some fouls in the name of being the aggressor, but it can backfire at times. Houston is 334th in defensive foul rate this season. So while they don't give up anything easy at the rim, the foul line is the place for opponents to generate easy points. The post traps can be a good example of what happens when aggressive defense goes wrong. If someone's just a step late in rotating on the trap, Houston's gonna go for an aggressive block or foul trying. Post-ups aren't the only place Houston gets aggressive. They defend ball screens with a very similar philosophy, putting 2 defenders on the ball and using their length to disrupt. It's really the same situation, just in a different spot on the court. 2 players on the ball and 2 guarding 3 on the weak side. If you're watching and you feel like it's way too easy for the offense to make that skip pass, this is a great angle of what the ball handler actually gets put through. Smaller guards have to see over the defense while being pressured. When the coverage is working, it leads to deflections and steals, never allowing that ball handler to get comfortable. Memphis was able to take advantage of Houston's coverage by using the short roll. As soon as the help came on the ball screen, Memphis passed to the screener right away, not waiting for the long roll all the way to the basket. Houston then tried adjusting to that strategy, which Kelvin Sampson talked about after the game.
They were hurting us with a simple short roll versus a long roll. And so we went put Justin at the 5 because he's our best rebounder, and put the 4 guards so we didn't have to guard a pick and roll action. We could just switch it. Of course, we set switching back 10 years because they were faking the handoff, turning, going to shoot a layup. Come on now. I can see them getting one of those, but you got to figure it out. You can't call timeout and tell you what color is in front of you. It's red, it's red. It's green, it's green. But credit Memphis. They saw that we struggled with that action. They kept doing it.
Here you can see what Sampson's talking about. Memphis faking the handoff and driving instead. It gave Houston trouble, but the Cougars still found a way to win the game. And that's usually been the case for the Houston defense this season. Players like Dejan Jarreau, who was just named Defensive Player of the Year in the AAC, figure it out defensively for Houston by relying both on high IQ and high athleticism. It's not fun playing against their aggression and physicality. To wrap this up, here are my 2 favorite Houston possessions. The first one is all Jarreau. On the drive into the post, Gorham should technically be the trapper here. Jarreau realizes that and even moves down a little bit to take number 22 if Gorham does go trap. When it becomes clear that's not going to happen, Jarreau seizes the opportunity himself to go grab the fumbled ball. The gamble doesn't pay off, but he never gives up on the play. And finally, we have another post trap. 2 guarding 3 on the weak side. Houston tries to scramble around, but it looks like this could be an easy layup. Which Houston player do you think gets this block? Gorham, Jarreau, or Chaney? Trick question, it's all of the above. thank you very much for watching. Feel free to turn on post notifications to make sure you get Sunday's video right after the bracket is released. And there's even more March Madness content coming in our Hoop Vision newsletter.
Reggie was a mannequin. He was just wearing a uniform. You know, this, come on, son, ball shot, missed. Somebody needs to go get it.